So for the bumper, I had to order these new bolts. Remember me cutting them off? Focus. These are the chrome ones that just mount by friction in there. The others were rusted through. Problem is with the new ones, they chromed them, but they didn't clean them, so the nut doesn't go all the way on there. So I have to go through and run them through the die to clean off the chrome. You know, it's again one of those things that you know, nothing comes in that can go straight on the car. It has to be modified to work. I find that very frustrating. You're paying for a premium for these things, and they come in and they don't fit. So here is another example of that high quality workmanship of the parts that you get. Here's the old gas cap, brand new shiny one. It is shiny, I'll give you that. It doesn't fit. The tabs here are too short, so I'm gonna have to bend them and hopefully get them to line up like that. That has like a 1/4 inch gap there. That has like an 1/8 of an inch. One more example. At least it does look good once you get it on there. So I'm fighting to try to get the. Let me back up a bit. This is the old Cowl surround thing. This is the top. I guess that's the Cowl. This is the surround. Putting the old one, the new one, in place of the old one to see if the bolts line up. This one lines up. This one's okay. This one's out 1/4 of an inch. So, trying to put this on the car. Guess what? The bolts don't line up because they put them in the wrong place. It's only $200. I think for $200 they could put the bolts in the right, the nuts in the right place. Okay, so to put the grill and the surround together, start with the grill. It will fit through here. Set it down low, keep it out of the way. So we're going to need access up here. Up here we have these, we got 3 of them. They are threaded rod with nuts on them. Excuse me. They're going to go through here and connect to the back side of this top cowling piece. These are captive nuts. These captive nuts are not quite in the right place, which makes this all so much more difficult. But that's another story. On the surround itself, we have these clip nuts. There's one here, and there's one down here. I've enlarged the holes all around, just because nothing lines up very well. Sorry for the noise in the background. They're doing construction work outside. Okay, now very carefully. It's going to go there. It's going to hang out, and this goes up here. And these bolts going from the back. top piece actually came with some little, these little tiny bolts already in it. They come out. Don't use them. You need the nut that's on the threaded rod to act as a spacer for this. Otherwise, it's not going to line up right. The next step, where the clip nuts are in the middle, we're going to use these focus. We're going to use these heavily threaded nuts, bolts. They go in first to kind of hold it in place, and then we can attach the other 4 positions. No real way to show this now. I'm going to attach nuts and washers on the back of the threaded studs that are here and here. Yeah, so there you go. In the end, it's if you know what you're doing, it takes about an hour to put it in. It's doesn't seem like it's that complicated, but getting stuff to line up really difficult. I would recommend that if you have a surround and a grill and the top piece, to use them instead of buying an aftermarket one. Get it re-chromed, because the tolerances on these just really weren't good. In machining, we talk a lot about order of operations. You have to do certain things before you can do other things. In putting things together, that's also very important. I've made a mistake, one of those things that wasn't quite the right order, but I found a solution anyway. So I put new bushings on it, and on the back of the A-arm here, there's 2 points on this side and 2 on the other side. They have new poly bushings, and it said in the instructions to put the weight of the car on the bushing before you tighten it up. That way, it's at ride height and when it tenses. So then it'll be able to go up and down as it should. So there's a nut on this side and on the other side that it was on there, but it wasn't as tight as it wasn't working tight. And it's a castellated nut, I think that's the name. It has a pin that goes through it. So I put the whole engine in, and the radiator, and the shroud, and the hood, the grill, and everything, and remembered I gotta put those on. So today I got down in there. Most of them were okay to get to, but this one on the driver's side, the front one on the driver's side, was really hard. So each of these has a bolt that has a hole in it, and you have to get a split pin, a cotter pin, one of these things, focus, into it to hold it in place to keep it from backing out and your wheel falling off. So each one of them has a hole drilled through the bolt, and you don't remember, the holes aren't in consistent places. So you have to start by taking the nut off, finding where the hole is, putting the nut back on, and then searching and trying to get the nut just in the right position to get the pin through. Anyway, after many hours of fighting, I finally succeeded in doing that. So next time, remember, before you go crazy putting everything in the engine, to once the weight's on it, get those pins in. So I got the valve cover off and on the bench. The engine's newer than the original one, and the original one would have had these plates on it. but the valve cover didn't have the holes. I've started drilling them already. The holes, you have to take the valve cover off because drilling the holes, you're going to end up with metal flake falling through, and you certainly don't want that in your valves. So I've taken it off. I've ordered these funny rivets. Focus, there you go. They have this weird swirl on the bottom. They measure out to be about 4 millimeters. So I'm going to use a slightly smaller drill bit to drill into it, and then pound these in. And these I don't know what you call them, the I guess threads on the rivet will bite into the metal on the sides and hold it in place. At least that's the theory. Let's give it a try. Not going in straight. That sucks. This one. That worked. Let's move on to the other one. We'll come back to the one that's not going straight. And we take the plastic off of it. And just to give you a look under the valve cover to see what's going on. Each one of these springy things is the other end of a valve. The valves let the gases in and out of the cylinder. They pop up at specific times to keep the car running. I've just cleaned out the gasket area that runs all the way around it. The oil that's in here is like clear. It's I don't think this engine's been run very much. Anyway, so next step is to put the new gasket on and put the valve cover back on. Here's something you don't see every day. On the inner fender, we have these little rubber pieces go. They go there. It keeps the fender from rubbing on here. And to attach them, we have these cool little brass, copper, focus. These cool little copper pins and washers. They're split, and the way to install them is first of all, you have to find the hole, push it up in there, and then kind of wedge this open and get it to slide down. Okay, so now that it's on there, washer goes on top, and then because the slit's really small, I'm going to use a razor blade to get in there and start pushing it apart. Once it's started, switch to a less dangerous tool. The most misused tool in the whole garage, just a screwdriver, and push them down. There you go. Seems like I do a lot of little stuff in between the Bondo drying. So today I got both of the headlight housings. I took it all apart, sandblasted it, painted it, and reassembled, all in one day. That feels like progress. I've never done this before. I did watch a YouTube video, somebody else doing it, and read a little article online. So in YouTube terms, this pretty much makes me an expert. What is it I'm about to do? Well, sometimes the Amazon gods smile upon you and deliver your goods very quickly. And this is one of those cases. This is the static balancing tool that I ordered because the tire shop couldn't balance my tires. So what I'm going to do is assemble it and show you how to use it and pretend that I'm an expert. So it goes together much like any good Christmas stand would, with this special bit that goes on the top. Up here we have a balancing point, very sharp, don't stick your finger on it, and way down in there, can't see it when I point at it, is a little dot that it's supposed to connect into, and that dot and the balancing point lets this pivot so you can balance your tires. There we go. Now the trick is to find a place in the shop that's level. So garage floors suck. They're not very level at all. Luckily, if you can find a place that's close, you can make your final adjustments with these screws on top. These 3 screws here. And then you want to get the bubble right there in the middle. Focus. So here's what the big deal was. Way down here, on the inside face here is a taper. There's another taper out here. These are the 2 points that this tire is relative to. It's a machine surface, and it squares it up with the car. On modern tires, there's a flat surface on the back here, but this flat surface, well, flat-ish surface, isn't machined. It's just pressed out. So that's why that's why I have to do this myself. With this tape, with this static jig. It has the taper here, and that's going to line up on this tapered surface there. So it'll be cool. It'll be measuring from the right point. So this slips on here. The taper forces it to line up correctly. And if we wait a minute, we can now see. Turn that close without touching it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's close, but not exact. So now we need to get it exact. That's where these come into play. These are wheel weights, different than the kind I used to play with. The ones that actually the ones that came off the car were lead weights. My grandpa used to take them and melt them down and make fishing weights out of them. But they feel funny because they're zinc. I guess that's better for the environment somehow. But we're going to take wheel weights and we're going to start with the lightest ones and put them on the side with the bubble. I'm going to use 2 weights, and when it brings the bubble in, and if it moves the bubble, that's a noisy truck. If it moves the bubble to the right place using 2 weights, that's awesome. Then we're going to take one of the weights and move it to the back, and then it should be good. So, and if it doesn't, then we move up a weight, a size, until we get to where the bubble's just right. So I don't know if you can see this, but the first 2 little weights were not enough to move it exactly to the middle. So we're going to move up a size. So now I've gone through all the weights and gotten up to the highest, the heaviest weights I have. And what I do now is make a mark right here in the center of the 2 weights. Then this weight will be put on right in the middle of that line, and then with that line transferred to the back, the other weight will be put on the back side. This will keep it from having a lateral imbalance. Here's my chalk line on the back. Simply put the weight on there and tap it in place. Now, in theory, it should be balanced. Let's put it back on and see where we are. Looks pretty good. So yeah, after 56 years, I think it was, all the rubber needs replaced. The windshield is no exception. So I'm going to start cleaning up the windshield. I'm going to take out this rubber piece on the bottom. I've got a new one. I've just checked to make sure it's close to the match. And it's got a T slot on it. Focus. I don't know if you can see that. There's the profile. It's got this T right here that slides all the way down the front. I'm going to start by taking the old one off and cleaning it up. And so to get started, I'm just going to cut off a big chunk of it. And boy, is it crunchy. You hear it. Oh, it's like a good French baguette. Crunchy on the outside. Yeah, okay. Now digging out the T-slot part of it's going to be a lot harder. Yeah, so to get this going, I have some water with some soap in it. I'm just squirting it in the track to lubricate. Not worried about it getting on the windshield. It might actually clean something. So I've got it started, and we just beat it down. Yeah, they always give you extra, so I'm gonna leave a good sized amount on each side and then cut it down once it's on the car.
Next week on the Alston Healey Project.
If you like this video, click the like button below. If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want to make sure Google reminds you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Your support is very much appreciated.